she were still in New Orleans. Waiting for her tea water to boil, she'd thumbed through her well-worn copy of Eliza Acton's Modern Cookery in all its branches, finding the pigeon soup recipe. Pigeon soup wasn't one of her favorite recipes. She'd never found a dish that made pigeon taste like anything but pigeon. But the birds had been specially priced at the French market. After plucking and rinsing the carcasses, she placed them in boiling water, added spices, and began slicing vegetables. She'd just begun chopping an onion when the Legrands' 4 children arrived.
"Illy?"
asked Anna, the 4-year-old.
"Where's Pawpaw?"
Sighing, Millie repeated the answer she'd given at least 10 times the day before. "Pawpaw is dead, Sweet Pea. He lives in heaven now."
"God live in heaven?"
asked the little girl, her expression serious. Millie wasn't too sure if there was a God or if he lived in heaven, but she was happy to leave religious education to the priest. "Yes, Sweet Pea," she said, her eyes tearing from the onion. "God's in heaven." The child nodded and began eating, her expression thoughtful. Of all of the Legrand children, Anna was Millie's favorite, although her never-ending curiosity sometimes gave Millie a headache. The little girl looked up, her brown eyes confused, and asked,
"God dead, too?"
A knock on the back door interrupted any reply Millie might have given, assuming she could have thought of one. The door flew open, and her best friend, Carissa, bounded in, her blonde hair disheveled, green bonnet askew.
"Miss Millie,"
she said, giving Millie a breathless hug and a kiss on each cheek.
"I've found something you have to see."
Lord Almighty, it was good to see her friend, but what was she doing here?
"How wonderful to see you, Miss Carissa,"
she said, trying to hide her alarm. The youngest Legrand child, a toddler just over a year old, balled his little fists and brought them down on his bowl. Millie grabbed for it, missed, and felt sticky grits slide down her skirt.
"Mrs. McIntyre's not allowed in my house,"
said the oldest girl in a voice that came shudderingly close to her mother's shrill tones.
"My mama said so."
Carissa bent down until she was eye to eye with the impertinent girl.
"That young lady is not ladylike behavior."
Adopting the strict voice of a schoolmarm, she added,
"The American lady says to cultivate a soft tone of voice and a courteous mode of expression."
Millie burst out laughing, reminded of the many times she'd reprimanded Carissa for improper ladylike etiquette, or at least what she thought was improper. They'd been 9 or maybe 10, sharing a bed in the Annunciation and Calliope girls' house of refuge, when they'd discovered a copy of True Politeness, a handbook of etiquette for ladies, written in 1847 by an American lady. From then on, they were either quoting rules of politeness or scolding other girls for unladylike behavior.
"I'm gonna tell Mama,"
screamed the girl, knocking grits to the floor as she squirmed from her chair and ran from the room.
"Papa said Mrs. McIntyre married a common Irishman. He says she lives in a dirty hovel on the wrong side of Canal Street," added Rufus, the oldest boy. "It's filled with cholera, yellow fever, and other diseases. She shouldn't be in our kitchen."
Carissa's face fell. Millie cuffed Rufus for his cruel words, earning a barrage of insults before he, too, lurched from his chair and ran to find his mother. Watching his retreating figure, Millie knew she was in for a serious dressing down. Might as well earn it honestly. "Let's go outside, Miss Carissa," Millie said. "It'll take Mrs. Legrand a few minutes to rise from bed and come down." Double-checking that the toddler was strapped safely in his chair, Millie admonished Anna to keep an eye on him before she hurried outside. "I'm sorry, Miss Carissa. The children don't mean what they said." Millie kissed her friend on both cheeks.
"Of course they do. They're becoming just as horrid as their parents. That's why I brought you this."
She waved a copy of New Orleans' Daily Picayune, fanning humid air across Millie's face.
"I'd druther you stay than leave, but I hate you working here for the Legrands. I want you happily married, like me. Have your own home,